Welcome to the Man Cave Podcast. This is your escape for real, unscripted conversations about sports, hobbies, life, and storytelling. No scripts, no forced takes, just Man Cave talk. Now, here's your host, Dan Casper.
Look forward to these conversations with Ty from the Slab Factory right here in Eau Claire and Madison, should know, and Madison too. So, but okay, let's just get it out of the way right away. This is the first time I talked to you since the auction's over with.
Yeah.
How has life changed for you, Ty, in these last couple of weeks?
Oh yeah, I mean it doesn't, the reality of it is it hasn't changed that much.
Yeah.
It's been kind of fun, excuse me, to see. The final sale price was a little over $300,000. Never a complaint in the world about that. It's funny to see the reaction of the hobby world being some mixture of someone overpaid like crazy and wow, only that much. Is like, everyone's got their own opinions on what it should have gone for, and but it's been really fun. And I think I said this last time. I mean, I was looking forward to it being over. I'm glad it's like in the rearview mirror now, because that was a stressful month, but in a good way. It was really fun, and for me, not a lot has changed in what I'm doing, and the reaction from folks at the shop has been really fun, and just enjoying it with them and stuff like that. So yeah,
awesome.
No complaints
at all. So all right, something big in the news that I had seen a couple days ago, and I'm glad that you're in, and you mentioned that you want to talk about it, is PSA is holding off, you said bulk submissions?
Yes.
Right now for those cards?
Yeah, so bulk and the value submissions, those are not open right now. And I think they said 4 months, but who knows exactly how long it's going to be. If they get through their backlog quickly, they might open it up sooner, because I know they obviously want to get back to getting that business. But the backlog is somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 million cards from what I've heard, especially when you include the fact that after that was announced, they said until June 2nd, you can still submit at those tiers. And I'm sure everyone and their mother sent a million cards, right? Yep. So I'm sure that backlog grew by at least a couple million over the last week. And so, yeah, they were backed up. The submissions were taking longer and longer. They kept pushing their dates out. They did they upped the number at bulk from like 20 to 50, and they increased the business days. And instead of just continuing to do that, they said, never mind, we're just going to try to catch up. This happened during COVID, actually. And they had much less of an infrastructure back then. But they did announce like a $200 million plan to add staff, to add facilities. I would imagine that they will be operating smoothly within the next couple of months. But it's really been a huge influx of TCG more than anything else, mostly Pokemon and One Piece.
Interesting. So we're talking like millions backlogged, right?
Yes.
Did I see that? It was like 10 million?
10 million.
Yeah. Wow.
So, I think that the reality is that there are other graders out there that you can certainly send your cards into. They don't necessarily have the same, we've talked about this before, they don't necessarily have the same resale value as PSA does, but Beckett recently, revealed their new slab. It looks great, the new label. I personally have already gotten a couple of Beckett cards reslabbed, and they look fantastic. I was going to bring one today, but I accidentally sold it. Oops. And I have another one that is coming that I'll bring another one of these weeks to show on the YouTube. But Beckett is doing a good job with sports. You can still send to SGC for sports. It doesn't have great resale value, but the cost is low and it's a good looking slab. I'll show some examples too. But and then there's also for Pokemon, you've got CGC, you've got Tag, you've got Ace or AGS, excuse me. There's other options out there for you. It's just for us at the shop, we're still sending Pokemon to CGC, but we're not sending sports out anywhere until PSA is done with the backup, unless we can work something out with Beckett, because We just don't have any kind of a shop account with them. They don't do that. So it makes it impossible for us to do it at a decent price point.
So this might be a really dumb question. When it says, no bulk, could an individual still be sent then? Or like, is that, for PSA or?
Yeah.
It's
a price point thing at that point.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like you can still send to PSA at regular or express or super express. Regular is $80 a card before insurance and shipping. So like something like that, you can certainly send higher value stuff in because it would probably, maybe you'd want it at that express level anyway. But that regular level at $80 used to be like 25 business days. Now it's 50 business days. Express is $150 a card. And that's not coming back to you for 20 to 30 business days. So the backup has added more time and a higher price point. For the ones that you can actually send into. So you can still send a PSA, but it's just a little bit more expensive.
Gotcha. All right. So did I see, not to switch topics here too, but did I see we're getting, or maybe we do have some new releases coming too, like baseball? Was it some new ones coming for Topps? Is that Is that Topps 2 or factory sets?
Yeah. So like there's Series 2 is coming. I don't remember the release date off the top of my head. I'd have to pull that up, but there's definitely some releases coming right now. I know for a fact that like everyone's kind of like, we're in this weird gap where like Bowman released for baseball and everyone rips Bowman like crazy for a while. In basketball, Sapphire just came out, but that's more of a premium product. You're not going to really see that on the shelves. It was like impossible to get. So Bowman Sapphire. And there's also for basketball, Top Signature Class, which, in my opinion, kind of an underwhelming product. It's fine, but it kind of an underwhelming product. So there's a bit of a gap right now where everyone's just kind of waiting for the next one, right?
Right.
I know that like, Topps just released pictures of the new Cosmic football product that has some really, really sick constellations, super short prints that look amazing. I'm interested to see what they do with that. But I bet I'll have some better, release date type news coming up in the next couple of weeks. Right now, everyone's like fully on the Wembanyama train, so basketball's pretty hot, and I'm sure we'll see something pretty quick.
I've got a bucket list up here, and it looks like a couple maybe release dates today, like Topps Finest in baseball.
Well, Topps Finest.
Those look sweet. They remind me of the old NBA Finest cards back in the day.
Yes,
so.
Topps Finest is great. The only thing, the reason it didn't pop into my head is because Finest, although actually I did see, so maybe I'm wrong. Topps Finest used to be exclusively hobby. I think this year for the first time there's going to be retail product.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that. But yes, I believe that is correct. So the Topps Finest retail product thing has some people up in arms because this happened with like some NBA products back in the mid 2010s. Like Select basketball used to be a kind of a premium product, for example. Okay. Select was like a really cool Panini premium product. And then they started adding retail to it and printing the heck out of it. And it made it less valuable, but more accessible. That's what's going to happen a little bit with Topps Finest, I think, with baseball. You're going to see it, way more. It's going to be more accessible. You and I are going to be able to rip it from, walking into Target, which is great. I think that's a good thing for the hobby, but it does change the value of the cards that you're pulling out of those boxes. So that's certainly going to happen.
We haven't talked about this before, but I gotta bring it up. And I can't remember the last time I saw Fleer with a card, but like Fleer Ultra Golf cards coming over. Is that a market right now? Or is it still Tiger Woods only sort of thing? Because they do have Tiger Woods picture on one of them. Yeah.
So and once again, I didn't do any prep here, so I'm just thinking. If I'm not mistaken, Upper Deck owns Fleer.
Okay.
So I believe it is an Upper Deck like Fleer release. So it's like a callback to Fleer products from the early 2000s, if I'm not mistaken. That said, if Fleer is back from the dead and releasing a product, there's no way it's licensed. So if it's licensed, it's definitely an Upper Deck owned product that is a Fleer release.
Gotcha.
That's what makes the most sense to me. But there's definitely a golf market. I mean, like it's really Tiger heavy, but like, Nelly Korda, who, Packer fan, she is really hot right now in the hobby. People are buying Nelly Korda. You're also seeing, some of these other guys who have stepped up, and Rory, like, there's markets for them. It's just like it's been for the last 25 plus years. It's golf is a Tiger Tiger
dominant.
Game.
Yeah. Even when he's not playing.
Yes.
So,
Yep, absolutely. But yeah, Upper Deck has hockey and golf licenses along with a couple others. So, they stay hot on those releases. We've been getting a lot more hockey lately. So if you guys are hockey collectors, we do have quite a few more. We want to get more singles in the case. So sell us your cool hockey singles. We have a handful of those, but as we're releasing more and more hobby products out on, sealed hobby product for hockey, we definitely want to see more of those coming into the shop too.
Well, speaking of hockey, and I know we got the NBA Finals, and I think we talked about this before in the past, but okay, we've got Victor Wembanyama in the finals and such. What's that potentially going to do for his market, or has it kind of already gone up a little bit with Victor Wembanyama?
His market right now might be, I think I went on this show and I talked about Shohei before the baseball season being absolutely crazy. This is so much bigger than that.
Really?
So much bigger than that.
Wow.
You're seeing Wembanyama cards that you're seeing them double and triple in price, and that's not just low end, that's high end too. So like you're seeing cards that sold for like, 10 to 15,000 sell for 30 to 40, and it's unreal to watch, because I'm watching. I'm not participating. I'm not buying Wembanyama right now, to be very clear. No, it's I would not recommend buying Wembanyama right now, but that's not totally true, because like the thing is, if you don't get it now, you might lose your opportunity to do it before he has a championship, and then things might even get crazier. But I do think that the upside opportunity is always when it's the hottest. And right now, with him headed toward that first potential championship, probably an MVP next year if I had to put money on it, like this is something where you're like, okay, it might be at its peak right at this moment, even if he does win a championship. Because, I mean, you look at certain guys throughout history when it comes to collecting, unless they are literally one of the best of all time, unless they are Jordan, Kobe, LeBron, or at least viewed in that way, their market can dissipate even with success. If we either get sick of the success or the success doesn't look the way we want it to. Like Jokic's market right now, pretty down. I mean, he's been unbelievable.
Yeah.
Shea's market, after they lost, it tanked pretty hard, and it already wasn't that high to begin with compared to his success level. So, like, it depends. How long are we going to be obsessed with Wembanyama? Probably forever, because this dude is, like, going to be one of those greats if he stays healthy.
And he's young yet, too.
And he's still so young.
Yeah.
They're way ahead of schedule. But I actually helped broker a deal, a card that, was a $15,000 Wembanyama auto. I helped someone find this card that they wanted. And I asked the guy what he picked it up for, and he said, "Oh, I picked it up like a month ago for $6,500." So I mean, he doubled his money and then some.
Yeah.
In the span of a month, just because Wembanyama is going, headed to the finals.
It really is like the stock market. It feels like
it is, but you can't play it the same way, because it's not necessarily rooted in logic. Like, not that the stock market is always rooted in logic either, but I'm not one to speak on the stock market.
Me neither, trust me.
Yeah. But like there's certain players that will forever hold appeal, but like there's certain guys like, Giannis is so down right now. And it makes sense in terms of the public sphere that he's in. But even like the last couple of years with the Bucks not being quite as successful and him not being quite as interesting, yet still scoring 30 with 12 rebounds and 6 assists, every year, his market went down even after he's won that championship. So if Wembanyama wins this championship and then he's just dominant but doesn't like do the same things, I don't think we think that's going to happen. But his market could certainly take a dip. And it would still be the same guy that won the championship and all this stuff. So,
right.
I'm basically saying a lot of nothing. But what I'm saying right now is that it is a really hot market right now. The upside if they win a championship does exist, but I don't think it's quite as high as the massive tank that would happen if they don't.
Interesting. What you did bring some cards. You want to show those?
this was kind of going back to the grading thing. I wanted to talk about the different grading companies. So like, I wanted to show examples. Obviously, I brought this to really dangle in front of Dan.
Yep.
The PSA, we all know PSA. This is an Anthony Hardaway Best Cuts. It's actually funny. This PSA slab is mislabeled. I didn't notice until I got it, but it says Best Cut. And if you look at all the other Best Cuts, die cuts, it says cuts with an S on the actual slab, but this one does not. So I was actually thinking about sending it back in for a reslab, but who knows? And then, for other sports graders, like I've been sending to Beckett. So BGS or Beckett Grading Services. They changed their slabs, so now they no longer have they usually, if it's an autograph, they have like an auto grade on the side. Now it's underneath it. The rest of the slab doesn't look terribly different, other than the fact that you actually have like a true barcode for identifying the card on the new slabs. This is one of the old ones.
Okay.
So this is a Matthew Stafford rookie in a BGS 9.5. 9.5s are basically the same as a 10 in terms of expectation between PSA and Beckett. They don't sell like 10s though. And Beckett pristine 10s they sell better than PSA 10s. And Beckett black labels are like a 10x on your value, which black labels rarely ever happen. It's if they are a 10 in centering, 10 in corners, 10 in edges, 10 in surface. I have not ever sent one in and gotten a black label back. As far as sports go, you also have SGC. This is a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar Bucks Kaboom. I'd been looking for this one for a little bit. This one's a really cool, you don't see a lot of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in a Bucks uni in inserts and stuff. He's usually in Lakers.
Yep.
So this one right here is an SGC slab. They call it the tuxedo.
Okay.
Again, the ROI is not as big, but you pay less and it's relatively quick. And they're a really efficient grading company, and the slab looks clean. So, you're still adding value to the card, but it's just not nearly as much.
Tuxedo's at the black kind of. That's what my Don Hudson one is in. It's just exactly like that. Yep.
You'll see sometimes that they have the old SGC slabs had like a green label in them. So you'll see that sometimes. For Pokemon, we still send in to CGC, the shop.
Okay.
And CGC is widely considered probably second in the Pokemon market especially for low end. It's relatively inexpensive. You pay $18.99 to send in with us.
Okay.
So it's much less expensive than like PSA. This is an example of a pristine 10. So they have, similar to Beckett, they have a pristine.
That label. That's really sweet looking.
You can send sports to CGC, to be very clear. It just doesn't have a great market foothold. So like you're not adding a lot of value even compared to SGC.
Okay.
But they have a little bit easier grading standards than some other companies, which, is part of the reason it doesn't have the huge foothold, but it does still add value, especially if you do get a pristine 10. And then this one is a newer company that it's been around for a few years, but like it's really only been like strong in the market for a year and a half or two. And it's really strong in high end cards. This is Tag. So Tag is an AI grading company. You actually can scan the QR code on the slab.
Okay.
And it gives you your dig report, which is telling you what's wrong with the card. It's telling you where it had dings, and it's telling you where the scratches are. And this is just one that I quickly grabbed from the shop. But like this is a Tag 6. High-end Pokemon do very well in Tag slabs when they get a 10 because it's well, trusted for that score, and you can see exactly the reasons why they got the grade because like anybody can scan that and check. And it also has rankings of like how highly ranked yours is among other Tag slabs of the same grade. So it's actually a really cool company. I know that they were pretty backed up recently too, but I think they're back to operating normally, or at least somewhat normally. And if anybody has questions on how to submit to these companies that aren't CGC and PSA like we submit to, we're happy to answer those questions. It's not too hard to set up your own account and get something sent out.
Okay.
You just want to make sure you protect your cards properly when you do so, and that's where a little bit of that education comes in. But there's a lot of YouTube videos out there to help with that.
Gotcha. There was one question, too, I wanted to ask you because I saw you posted just a little bit ago about an eBay haul that you had. And one thing that I've kind of always wondered, too, when you look on eBay, like what? Because it always makes me nervous purchasing stuff on eBay, you know, and that sort of. Is there certain things that you look for? Is it just the reviews of the sellers, or how do you go about when you look on eBay for cards?
Yeah, I do tend to avoid sellers that have very little feedback. Now, if it's a low risk situation in terms of like a graded card that, you know, if a card is graded and it's like clearly real, then, you know, it's not like they're going to ship you something that's beat up, right? It's already in the slab. But like raw cards, I don't tend to trust buying them off of low feedback or no feedback, you know, type sellers. The main thing I'm looking for is, you know, sometimes I go to, I've over the years figured out that there's certain shops on eBay that I like what they carry. I like what they seek out. I picked up the Charles Woodson that you saw that I posted from this guy that has an incredible shop on eBay. I think his name is like Cool Card Dude. I mean, something like that. He's got an unbelievable shop. He's in Canada. So like, I'm sure I'll buy slabs from him again. But he has a very well curated sort of like 90s, 2000s, NBA, NFL, you know, like really cool stuff. So yeah, you know, when it comes to eBay, the nice thing is that if you buy anything over $200, it does go through authenticity, eBay's authenticity guarantee. That said, that is only the case if you're buying it from the U.S. So like this one that I got from Canada will not go through that. You know, be careful buying outside of the U.S. because it won't go through that authenticity.
Yeah, that's always just like looking at those cards. And for me too, this probably isn't a thing for you. It's like, why is this one the same exact card? Somebody's selling it for this, and then it's a different price point in there. And, you know, for me, that for somebody who doesn't know nearly as much as you do, it's like, well, which one is legit? You know, that.
Well, that's why you have to arm yourself with information. And that's where like the comping comes in, right? And understanding where you're going to get accurate numbers on your comps. 130 Point as a free app is a great tool to use to say, okay, if I'm looking at that Charles Woodson, I'm checking to see, okay, what did it last sell for? That one, for example, last sold in 2023. You can throw that number out the window. I can look at similar stuff and see if it's maybe worth buying. But like, if there are a bunch of recent sales, I can say, okay, I am not interested in buying this, or I am interested in buying this because of those recent comps. Or you might just kind of look at it and go, as you get a feel for the market, you might go, well, this is a little bit more than the most recent comps, but like this player's playing well, or like this good thing is happening, or, you know, everyone is buying Bowman Chrome like crazy right now. Whatever. You can make those assumptions. So you have to arm yourself with information so that when you make those purchases, that you're not, you know, leaving dollars on the table. But the other thing too is like, I've done this a million times. If you find something you like, make sure you look for it elsewhere too on eBay, because sometimes you'll buy something and be like, oh, it's also listed for, you know, $50 less over here, and I just got excited and got this thing without checking to see if there's a cheaper one out there.
Yeah.
So always double check that stuff.
I want to ask this too before we let you go here. Obviously, the Myles Garrett trade, and he's going to be in a new uniform and such. I guess it's a two-part question. One, do defensive players, is there a market for guys like a Myles Garrett? Two, do trades like that affect the trade or the card market, whether it's, you know, his Cleveland ones, or is it going to be his first Rams one, you know, sort of thing? Does that affect?
Yeah, so a couple of things on that. One, when it comes to the defensive player card market, it exists for sure, but you have to be one of the greats, you know, to be. I mean, just like anything else, there's ceilings and floors for certain players. So it's just a lower ceiling and floor for defensive players typically. But like if you are one of the greats, like your ceiling is higher, you know, just like anything else. Myles Garrett in this trade, it is one of those things where he is so beloved and was so successful in a Browns uniform that I don't think his Browns stuff tanks hard. And I think, in fact, when he's, you know, as he's traded to the Rams, you're going to see his first Rams products, they're going to do really well. But then, you know, there will be, you know, when you're buying him in 10 years, his Browns cards are going to be the ones that are worth more.
Okay.
Like, you know, unless he wins like a couple, you know, wins an MVP as a defensive player and, you know, a couple championships or whatever, right? But like, it's where they did their best work that tends to historically be where their cards sell really well.
Okay.
One thing, and a more interesting case to me is like Matthew Stafford.
That's the name I was just going to ask.
Yeah,
so,
his stuff in a Lions uni sells well. His stuff in a Rams uni sells well. He has a championship with the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
But he started his incredible career with the Lions. All of his rookie stuff is with the Lions. He was well loved in Detroit. So like there's guys where it's going to be pretty similar, and over time you're actually going to probably see that his Rams stuff sells nearly as well or just as well as his Lions stuff. But like Aaron Rodgers, for example, his Jets and Pittsburgh stuff is not going to sell well historically. It's just not going to hold up. Even if he does some serious winning this year, like it's just not going to hold up. You're going to always have way better stuff in Packers uni as far as value is concerned.
Right. Is kind of Peyton the same way with Colts and Denver a little bit?
Well, so actually that's a funny example. Like Colts and Denver, you can also say Brady, but the thing is like Brady won a championship with the Bucs, and Peyton Manning won a championship with Denver. So like it's honestly. And an MVP with Denver. So both sell really well, kind of similar to Stafford. But I had a lot of people telling me that my Brady would have sold for a lot more in a Patriots uni, and I'm sure it would have, because as much as he did in that short time as a Buccaneer, he did way more with the Patriots.
Right.
And Peyton is probably a little bit closer to even.
Right. Interesting. All right, before I let you go, NBA Finals.
Yeah.
Who you got? Got to make a pick.
I'm going to pick the Spurs, not just based on Wembanyama. I am obsessed with Stephon Castle and Dylan Harper. I think that they are both just like amazing shutdown guards that like get to the hoop at will. I think that the Knicks are going to give them a better fight than some people think. But I do think it's going to be the Spurs. And I also, I think that like it's really hard to gauge the Knicks right now because they did not have a crazy difficult path through. They kind of struggled with the Hawks, but then they basically haven't like lost for a month. So it's like, we'll see what happens there. But like, I do really like the Knicks, but I think that the Spurs get this one.
Now, last one, I promise.
No, it's okay.
If the Knicks win, because everybody's saying, well, if the Knicks win, Jalen Brunson's the greatest Knick, which I don't agree with at that point.
I kind of agree with.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Over like Frazier, Willis Reed?
All I'm saying is that you have an argument for it. I'm not usually an absolutes guy. So but I'm saying that I wouldn't think that someone's crazy for thinking that. I would say that bringing a title back to New York is more than
definitely puts him on the Mount Rushmore, probably, right?
He's on the Mount Rushmore. So like if you're on the Mount Rushmore, I'm not going to really argue with you.
So would that, in the card aspect?
Oh yeah, his market is already. It has not leaped nearly as much as like a Wembanyama, like market, but like his market has gone up a decent amount. And I think I think that the reason it hasn't, that it's the expectations have been tempered on his cards is because people don't think that they're going to beat the Spurs.
Gotcha.
If they win game one, or if they take one of the first two and then win in the Garden, I think that his cards are going to go absolutely bonkers. Yeah. If they go up 2-1 in the series, I think that they'll go crazy.
Man. Good stuff, dude.
Yeah.
Always love chatting with you,
it's always fun.
So appreciate that.
Yeah,
So
I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
You got it.